Welcome to the Kino Cave, and today we're going to be talking about Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And to get straight into it, this movie is awful, it's terrible, it makes zero sense, but I kinda love it in a very guilty way. So, I was born in 2002, so I obviously grew up with Michael Bay's Transformers movie, for better or worse. And I watched the Transformers Prime TV show, and I was really obsessed with these for a while. I loved the idea of a transformer, a robot that could turn into a car. Who doesn't want one of those as a friend? And I loved the first film when I was a kid. I loved the second film when I was a kid. I loved the third film when I was a kid. Even though I was still pretty young and didn't know anything about movies when the fourth movie came out, I still thought it was just too long and really boring. When The Last Night came out, I didn't watch it at first. I pretty much had lost interest in the franchise, and I watched it many years later on my laptop while I was doing other things, and it seems about as good as I would have expected it to be, which isn't very good at all. It's hard to say that this franchise has been very near and dear to me. I was very obsessed with it for a couple of years when I was a kid. I loved the Transformers Prime TV show, and since then I've not had much love for it. I watched Bumblebee, really liked it. I kinda want to watch the new one, Rise of the Beasts, coming out soon. But if I miss it, I don't really care that much either. So, I don't know. But I did want to revisit these movies and see how my mind has changed, because I've not really watched them for real, like since I was a kid. So I feel like now, with a more analytical brain, I would have some different thoughts than when I was 8 and thought the transforming robots was really cool, and the bit when Optimus Prime got the parts of the other Transformer and could fly was really cool. So there's definitely a lot more to think and talk about now than there was then. So, I don't hate this movie. There's a lot to like about it. Don't love it. It's pretty bad, but there's things in it that I do like, and it's one of those movies that's really so bad that it kind of comes back around and ends up being pretty funny to watch, and it is a lot of fun. And while I definitely don't want to see the Transformers movies back in this era again, these are interesting time capsules of films. They really represent what the landscape was during the time of the kind of late 2000s and early 2010s, where there were the music and the visual effects and the way things were directed, especially in action movies. Transformers is very much a staple of that, alongside films like Fast and Furious. Action has evolved since, and I think that's a good thing, but it's an interesting case study with the Transformers films. Why am I being so analytical with these movies? So, a little bit of background. This movie was written during the writer's strike in 2008, I think. 2007 or 2008. So it was very heavily affected by that, which is understandable, although that's not an excuse for how bad the writing is. Honestly, I think like even movies that were made during the writer's strike ended up being okay. Like Quantum of Solace ended up being fine, but this movie makes zero sense whatsoever. I mean, good God, I took notes while watching it, and just half the time things just happen. They just happen for no reason. You know, the Sam is Autobot Jesus, and the matrix of leadership is very ill-defined. Why is there robots in the pyramids? Why doesn't it make any sense? Why are the coordinates to it encoded in Sam's brain when he touched a piece of the cube? Has he not worn that jacket since that day? It's been like 2 years. He wants to be like a normal kid, except he's like living with a transformer. Also, why would you want to be just a normal kid when you're friends with robots, for God's sakes, and it's not even a detriment to your life. Like in a similar kind of a film with a similar character arc and done way better, in Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker has a reason to not want to be Spider-Man. He doesn't. There's a reason to not want to have his powers, because with great power comes great responsibility. If he didn't have the power, he wouldn't have the responsibility. And so you see how his life is worse by having these powers, so you understand when he gives them up. But Sam has no reason to not still cruise around with Bumblebee. Like, he can still just cruise around with him and talk to him and have his little robot friend, and he can still hang out with the other Transformers if he wanted to. There's no. Bumblebee and the other Transformers aren't doing anything to make his life worse. He could still act like a normal kid in college outwardly and have a really awesome car that turns into a freaking robot. So it doesn't make any sense character wise. But there's parts of the plot that also make no sense whatsoever. So with the plot of this movie, Sam touches a piece of the cube, which, like, I don't remember a ton from the first movie, but the cube never did that, and Sam ran with it under his arm like it's a football. But now apparently when he touches it, the coordinates to something, or the what did those symbols mean again? I don't know. And it transforms everything in his kitchen into a transformer, which I guess makes a little. What did the cube do again? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. So Sam wants to go to college, but the Decepticons need the weird symbols in his brain, and he freaks out in school, and then he has to go and get away from Megatron, but then Optimus Prime dies. But he has to find the Matrix of Leadership to resurrect him, and Jetfire's in it, and when did he happen? What happened there? Why is he suddenly a good guy? What's up with the weird hump droid that humps Megan Fox? Oh my god. Look, I don't really know. It's very difficult to really define the plot of this because so much is happening at once. And the movie moves too quickly for you to really grasp any of it. And I think that was done on purpose. Because it's just moving from scene to scene to scene to scene, and bit of exposition to bit of exposition to bit of exposition, that you never have time to breathe. It's like something is told to you, and then you're like, wait, does that make any sense? But wait, the next thing is being told to you. Okay, that doesn't make sense though. And then the next thing is told to you, and you just have to keep moving with the movie. And you really have to switch your brain off to enjoy it, which I don't like doing because I prefer to actually think about my movies, even the ones that aren't good. Yeah, the plot, it doesn't work. Why are the pyramids robots? Where has the Fallen Prime been? What was his name before he was the Fallen Prime? Why are the symbols in historical landmarks that have just never been deciphered? That seems to be something that, like, historians would instantly spot and try to figure out. Why do we see John Turturro's butt? Oh god, John Turturro's in this. Why did they drop him? Why do they have a constant watch on Megatron's dead body that they dropped into the sea? I feel like there's a lot of other things they could do with Megatron's body, but, you know, we need to resurrect him for this movie because he's Megatron. So I guess that's why. That's the thing. The plot really just needs you to roll with it in order for the plot to actually happen, and a lot of it was probably because of the writer's strike, but I get the sense that a lot of it is just laziness at the same time. So, onto characters. Sam and Michaela have the worst relationship, but I guess that's not surprising when you look at Sam's parents' relationship, because they really hate each other in this movie. but then they're also really horny for each other. It's really not good. It's bad. I was watching it and just being like, ooh, don't say that, don't do that. And Sam's the same. He doesn't want to have the conversation about love with Michaela, but also Michaela clearly doesn't trust him because she won't let him explain when she finds him with a girl. And even when he does explain, she doesn't believe him, even though she saw the girl transform into a robot. Uh, oh God, the it's a horrible relationship. It really is. It takes Sam literally dying and going to Autobot heaven to admit that he loves his girlfriend of 2 years. And bear in mind that girlfriend is Megan Fox. And also a little bit on Megan Fox. She doesn't deserve the way she was treated, especially after these movies. She's way more than a pretty face. She's a really good actress. I would suggest rewatching Jennifer's Body. She's really good in that, and she seems to be really good in stuff today, although I've not seen it. A lot of what she's done today, like Till Death, is in my watch list, so I definitely need to check that one out. She looks really good in that, acting wise. Other characters, the soldier from the first movie's in this, except he has no character arc. He just kind of reacts. Like something will happen and he'll go, and then something else will happen and he'll go, ooh, and then something else will happen and he'll go, and then there's this other guy, this presidential. I don't even remember. He talks so quickly that you can never figure out what he does or why he's there, and he literally goes like with papers in people's faces. Doesn't let them actually read the papers. So yeah, this presidential whatever he is, he could easily be a spy. They just let him in, and then he explains what's happening in the world to anybody who might be eavesdropping on the conversation, which is very helpful to the Decepticons, honestly. I'm kind of taking the Decepticons' side just because of how stupid the good guys are in this movie. Oh my god. So I think that's kind of it for the human characters. I know there's more. There's John Turturro, and then there's that kid that looks a little bit like John Turturro, and they have a little team up going, and that's nothing. That goes nowhere. They're just paired together because they're the two guys who yell and scream and really have no idea what they're doing. One of them's like an internet guy who's trying to uncover like evidence of aliens, and John Turturro's doing exactly the same thing actually, because he got fired because of something that happened in the first movie. Can you tell I have a really bad grasp on this plot? Oh god. Another thing about Sam, he's really afraid that he might cheat on Michaela. Like, again, this is just how awful their relationship is. He's like, he doesn't trust himself to not cheat on his girlfriend, because he's so jittery and weird when the other girl is trying to seduce him. Like, he could just, like, I know she's a robot, but he doesn't know that. So he could just tell her, like, no, I'm seeing someone, I don't want to be with you, and then he could walk away. But he doesn't. He kind of lets himself get pushed by her, and he's kind of like, well, I don't want to not go with you, but I don't want to go. And Dwight Schrute is a professor, which it could make for some good comedy. It doesn't. He's really creepy. He takes a bite out of an apple and lets it fall on the floor, and then tells one of the female students to finish it for him, and she's aroused by that. Michael Bay's got some real issues with women, doesn't he? So, onto the Autobots and the Decepticons. Oh boy. So, Optimus Prime is voiced by Peter Cullen, which is great. There's no one better. Not that, other people who voiced him are bad, they're good, but I mean, did you see that video of Peter Cullen where he does the thing? And I'm not even going to try because I know it's not going to be as good as that. But yeah, he's got the voice. That's about all he's got. He kind of is just like really stoic and just stands around and is like, we're sharing this home world with you. And then he dies. And then he gets brought back to life and he's like, Sam, you came back for me. And then he tells the Fallen to give him his face. And then he takes his face. He's like, give me your face. And he takes it. Like that. Writer's strike, baby. And then Bumblebee is a big whiny baby for most of the movie. He's like just really sulky because Sam won't take him to college. And he's, I don't even know, he has nothing going on. Like, I get that he can't talk, but I mean, come on. And then every other Autobot is basically just defined by their voice and accent. Like, you've got the two really racist cars. RC doesn't talk at all, which is sad because I really liked her in Transformers Prime. She was like one of my favorite characters. She turned into a motorbike. I had a toy of her somewhere, but I can't find it. Other characters. Ironhide's cool. I like him. I think I might... No, I didn't have a toy of him. I wanted a toy of him. I'm blanking on who the rest of the Autobots are. Why did we spend so much time with these new Autobots with the, like, very stereotypical accents and not with the ones that we know from the first movie? Because I quite liked Ratchet, actually. Again, my attachment to him is more so from Transformers Prime than from the movie, but he was interesting, kind of. He had an interesting job. Are there any other Autobots in the movie? I guess you could count Jetfire because he's like a traitor and he betrayed the Decepticons. Also, what's the deal with Autobots' eyes? Because I figure you're born as an Autobot and you're born as a Decepticon and that's who you are. And I think it's interesting, the idea that you can maybe defect from one to the other. But what do they do about the eye color? Because Jetfire's eyes are still red, but he's very clearly switched over to the Autobot side. So can they turn blue? That must make, like, spy missions really difficult for them. Because all I have to do is look at their eyes and be like, ah, he's a spy. Starscream is like a little twitchy coward. And is just like, he's an ant on the boot of the other characters. Then you have Megatron. You can really hear Hugo Weaving not giving a shit in his voice. I was watching a scene. I was watching the scene that's in the background here, and like one of the last things that Megatron goes is Starscream. Oh god. Why didn't they get an actor who cared? Why didn't the guy who did it in Transformers Prime? I really liked his Megatron. It was kind of raspy and whispery, and it was like sinister. Oh well, I guess we can't have everything. And the Fallen Prime, he's nothing. He's a nothing character. He has no personality. He has one motivation, which is, what was his motivation? He wanted to like take over Earth and terraform it, maybe. But that's what the bad guy wants to do in the next movie. And that's what Megatron wanted to do in the first movie. Oh my god. Each villain has the same motivation in each movie, but with no actual character. I can't even remember what the Fallen Prime sounds like. I don't know. He's just like, he's just like, I don't know. He's just got a really long head and little things. He's like that one dinosaur in Jurassic Park that kills Wayne Knight, and he's just like, what has this become? There's other Decepticons. They're kind of just, I don't even think any of them speak. They're kind of just, oh, Soundwave's in it, but he does nothing. He's nothing either. He's just a spy. He doesn't even talk. He doesn't even shoot out little cassette tapes or plays music or anything like that. I really like Soundwave's design in the original Transformers. Like in the cartoon, you know, where he's a big box. I like that. Too bad. Thanks, Michael Bay. And then every other Decepticon is just kind of, it's like, you know, little scrapyards come to life, basically. Like, you know, Picture a heap of scrap metal piled on top of each other and in the vague shape of a person. That's pretty much what all the Decepticons are. There may be a slight change in angles because I ran out of battery on the camera and I had to charge it for like an hour, and so yeah, I had to put the camera back, and now things might be a little different, but it shouldn't affect the video too much. Back onto the stupidity of the plot. John Turturro literally asks for the plot by name, and then Jetfire gives him a bunch of exposition. And he says the word plot, I am sure. He asks for the plot, and he gets it, and so do we, and that's the genius of this writing. Okay, on to some actually positive notes, because there are positives with this. For one thing, it's very watchable, unlike, say, Age of Extinction and Last Night, which I don't think I could ever sit through again. They're too long. I don't care about any of the characters, and it's just not funny enough to justify watching it. It's just bad. It's just bad. But this one is fairly watchable. You can sit down and enjoy it and kind of just let it wash over you. Just don't think about it too much, or else you will slowly go insane like I did. Anyway, the actual positives. The special effects are groundbreaking. The Transformers look more or less real. They look real in the world. The transformations look very good. You know, all that's kind of stuff. The visual effects and special effects are very, very good. The music is way better than this movie deserves. The Steve Jablonsky, I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that. Fantastic compositions. I love the different themes for different Transformers. The main theme, it's too good for this movie and this series. The music is really, really excellent. And the last real positive I can say is that the bit when Optimus Prime gets all the parts from Jetfire, and it makes no sense in the story. Why couldn't they do that before? That seems like it would be really handy. They never do it again. It's a toy commercial moment because, you know, you get the Optimus Prime toy and then the Jetfire toy, and then you can combine them. It's very much just a, hey, you can buy a toy of this. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't kind of get hyped when all the parts fly towards him and Optimus Prime's like, let's roll, and then he like shoots up into the air and he can fly, and yeah, kind of badass. So those are my thoughts on Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. This has been a mess of a video to try and record. I love it and I hate it so much. It's so bad, but it's hilarious in how bad it is. The third movie's better, I think. I've not seen that one in a while either, and it is pretty long. But yeah, Revenge of the Fallen, it's watchable. It's, as long as you don't pay attention and you just look at the visuals, which are pretty good, and absorb the music. So those are my thoughts on Revenge of the Fallen. If you enjoyed this video, I hope it's watchable. If you did enjoy, comment down, say what you like or dislike about Revenge of the Fallen. Please be civil, of course. And like the video and subscribe to the channel for more reviews. He could be like a spy for like some other... Aww. Fixed it. Cue the Michael Bay sniper red dot aiming at my face.